You are now listening to the Business Chatter Podcast.
All right. Welcome to the Business Chatter Podcast.
I'm Chris,
And I am Big Tone.
also known as Anthony. And
Big
we're
Tone.
very happy that you're here with us today. We're going to be talking about entrepreneurship, startups to enterprise, team building, product management, value creation, and everything in between.
Just do it.
You know, I believe that that's a slogan that already exists.
Yeah, it is.
But it's extremely meaningful
It is.
because it's essentially saying, start, do something.
Don't let anything hold you back. The only person that's going to tell you no is you. If not you, then who?
I feel like I'm watching a children's show right now.
That's right. You know what? Always, whenever I hear like the phrase "just do it," you know what I think of is I don't watch like Family Guy a lot, but there's a clip of them spoofing the Nike commercial, and it's like, don't just train for a marathon, run 2 marathons. Don't just have one family, have 2 families. Don't just have 2 families, have a third family with an alternative lifestyle. When the when the one family finds out, don't just like leave in a fit of rage.
Disappear.
Just do it.
Oh man,
Don't have 3 families.
don't have 3 families.
It's financially irresponsible unless you're like really rich. But it's also morally irresponsible.
Absolutely.
But financially, it's very irresponsible. It's also a lot of work. I couldn't even imagine the emotional capacity.
Oh, it's
Even having one girlfriend at a time is difficult for me. I couldn't imagine having 2 or 3.
I mean,
then kids.
think about it as you get older, just maintaining friendships, like friends that you've been friends with your whole life is hard enough.
You know, I was talking to somebody who's 40 the other day, and I kind of made a joke in front of his wife when she was talking about her friends, and I was like, "Hey, we're guys. When we get older, it's hard to maintain friends or make new friends." And he was like, "Yes." He's like, "I have no friends." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't mean to take it there, but
Yeah, sorry to push on that sore spot, but it is difficult to maintain relationships. And actually, we could talk about that on another podcast. But when you dedicate a lot of your time to your career, to being an entrepreneur, to building something, unfortunately, you're going to lose friends. There's going to be relationships that break down. And no matter how hard you try to nurture them, when you do prioritize things, certain things take precedence over others.
But it also helps you maintain friends too.
Sure.
Me and you.
That's right.
We've gotten a lot closer since we started doing all this together.
Absolutely.
We were always relatively close, but we weren't spending every day of the week talking to each other or working together or
living in my basement.
Living in Chris's basement as his other half kid.
Yeah. That's very true. It's there's actually an Anderson .Paak song. Shout out Anderson .Paak. Great music. If I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, I apologize, but I think that's right. And it's about like having the friends that want to see you win and are like want to help out in the process, not so much the ones that just like show up and want to take advantage of that.
Well, I do both.
And
like Chris got mad at me the other day because I sleep in his basement, like you said. And hold on a second.
Right where we're sitting.
So Chris has an actual baby, and he has baby formula, and I was drinking it, and I was hungry in the middle of the night, and it's the only thing he had. So he was really pissed.
Look,
apparently it's expensive.
It's not cheap. It's hard to find.
It tastes good though. It's kind of sweet.
Yeah, I mean, you could sustain yourself on it for a certain amount of time, but at some point you're going to lack I guess not lack the nutrients, right? But you'll lack the volume of nutrients that you need for an adult. Well, adult, I'm using that loosely. Adult in terms of actual age, but we'll digress for the moment. No, it's very true. You want people around you who are going to support you. For those listening, if you have friends who have businesses, support their businesses. Don't expect free things from them.
Don't ask for free things.
Show up if they're doing, if they're doing trade shows, flea markets, all that type of stuff, open houses.
And if you genuinely like what they do, promote them.
Do everything that you can to put them in a position where they can succeed. It doesn't go unnoticed, and you're not doing it to get anything back. When your friends succeed, that should be something that makes you feel good.
Word of mouth goes a long way.
For sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. And we'll see that as we continue through the podcast, because there are plenty of friends, acquaintances, former, business associates that will be on the podcast talking about their businesses, and
including Liver King.
Now we got to get Liver King on. Reach out. We'll respond.
Yeah, we won't get mad at you for doing steroids either.
We'd love to have you on to talk more actually about how you built your business, because
your physique on $15,000 of HGH a month.
If there's anything that we did learn about your process outside of the current conversation,
it's that you have to spend money to make money.
You do need to spend money to make money, unfortunately. Fortunately, unfortunately. But the thought that went into getting your brand to where it is now was not an accident.
It was a just do it thing.
And it was a just do it. You set out and you did it, and you do kind of grab life by the reins, the horns every day.
The liver.
Well played.
Well, he also eats like testicles and stuff. So you could have said testicles, but I don't want to get us demonetized. I just said it a couple times.
Yeah,
but
we can.
I said it like anatomically, not like grotesquely. But let's say grab life by the liver.
Yeah, grab life by the liver. I like that.
Pancreas. He probably eats pancreas too. Can you? I don't know if you can, but
if you want to borrow that slogan, we're happy to license it to you.
Yeah.
Grab life by the liver.
$15,000 a month. No more than you spend on HGH.
Oh my God. All right. Well, that'll be fun trying to reach out and have you on after viewing this one.
Because liver is king. I do eat liver infrequently, but like once a month, I usually have like a 3-ounce liver steak.
I mean, organ meat certainly does have value. I forget who I saw somebody talking about it where they said they don't do it and they do more of a carnivore diet. Everybody is different. So, navigate as you will. This is not a nutrition advice podcast.
I love that people we address a topic in the beginning and then we go off on these tangents and end up not talking about the topic. But I think it's fair to the name of our podcast. We are the Business Chatter Podcast.
We're chattering.
We're allowed to chatter.
There's a lot of chatter going on. It's a good thing that people can't call in. Maybe we should have a call-in episode and we can really chatter.
We're definitely on brand.
Yes.
If any of you say we're off brand, you can critique us, but you're wrong.
Yeah, we're nothing if not on brand.
My finger was low, but I was pointing. It was down here, but we are on brand.
Very on brand. It's actually funny because that kind of came to us subconsciously, but in reality, it is so on brand for us that it had to happen.
Yeah. Every time before we record, it takes us an hour to actually get into organizing what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, because we end up just talking about conspiracy theories, sometimes business, but usually it's
there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, we were talking about the fossil record earlier, and ancient civilizations that precursed any civilization that we know about that are wiped off the face of the earth because the fossil record's been recycled.
Yeah, it's extremely interesting stuff. If you're a history kind of origins of the universe type of person.
By the way, everything I was talking about was completely subjective. I had nothing to back it up. I'm not convicted on it one way or the other, but it makes for good conversation.
Good conversation. They're fun thought experiments, and it gives you the opportunity to have a respectful debate with someone on ideas in a way that, practicing not getting emotional and actually focusing on what the content of the conversation is.
Just doing it.
Just doing it. Before we jump in, shout out to Graham Hancock. Shout out to Michael Anthony West. Shout out to the other gentleman, Randall Carlson. If you guys are listening, we'd love to chat with you because you actually have businesses of your own that you've been able to leverage through the research that you're doing. And it's very interesting stuff. Check them out.
We will respond.
All right. So just doing it, right? Yes, it's the Nike slogan, and there's a plethora of other.
And we've already been. We're going to be sued for this, so we're just.
No. Well, just do it is the Nike slogan. Just start is actually a valuable business concept, right? You have an idea, you want to do it, you think about it, you read a bunch of books about it, you talk to your friends about it, you do a bunch of research on it, you write your business plan, you rewrite your business plan, you show your business plan to your friend, you talk to your family about it, and then nothing happens. And now it's been 2 years and you haven't taken any action on the idea that you have. This isn't to say that you should just have a half-baked idea and start an LLC and put a bunch of money into it and ask for investment, but you need to take the step in order to get to a point to even determine if it's viable.
Yeah. you can't be you can be risk averse, but you can't be super risk averse to the point where you're like, oh, I'm afraid it's going to fail. I'm not going to do it, because guess what? If it's a good idea, somebody's going to do it at some point.
That's
If
right.
you don't do it now, it's going to be somebody else's in the future.
Absolutely.
So either take the risk now or don't take the risk at all. If you sit on it for 2 years, you're probably just wasting your time.
Sure. Absolutely.
And I'm not going to say always 100% of the time,
of course.
but if you really think it's viable, you have to do it, because at some point somebody else will think it's viable too and actually do it.
Of course. And you know, we've seen examples, right, to counter our point of businesses that came along too early and they didn't work. However, the experience that comes from that failure, the experience that comes from those experiences, the learnings, the network, understanding how to pitch VCs.
Is that like Napster? Would you consider Napster one that came along too early? Like Napster was just Spotify. Like you had to download the music, I'm pretty sure. But it was like basically like if they slapped a $5 a month fee on there
and the downloads were legal,
it would just be Spotify.
Yeah. I mean, the precursor businesses have paved a pathway for a lot of the businesses that are now successful. And we can have a whole podcast on those, which we will, because we can literally find
MySpace,
tons of examples.
Like, obviously, I wouldn't say MySpace was too early,
but it
was a little bit too early for what
a social network wanted, for what people needed out of a social network, or what they wanted out of a social network. There was a time when Facebook actually meant a printout with people's faces on it with their bios and insight, which is pretty wild.
It's just a book of faces.
Yeah. Which is, you know, and now if you said Facebook and you were meaning the physical document, there would be a very small percentage of the population that
so
understand
now I
what
feel
that means.
like, to be more literal and like adopt to internet, it should be Face Hub.
True. Yeah.
Because it's a hub of faces now.
That's
like
true.
An internet hub.
Yeah, it's not
a book.
It's extremely valuable.
And it's not a tube because
resource.
It doesn't play videos.
Correct.
Right? A tube is like a video, like
because I mean, maybe
or movies or
tube,
or
like tube comes from
video files,
tube television, right? Is that kind of the colloquialism?
So I think it would be a hub. It'd be a hub of faces.
Yeah, I mean,
Face Hub.
Why don't you? I mean, Mark Zuckerberg, if you're listening,
change the name.
We have a suggestion, and
you already rebranded to Meta. You could change your largest platform's name to Face Hub.
Just reach out. We'll respond, and we could talk through it.
Yeah, but if you do it, we'll sue you if you do it without telling us.
I mean,
we don't have the resources to, but we will.
I mean, sometimes you just gotta
start.
You gotta start.
Yeah,
that was a good stop of saying what you were going to say and then fixed it. But I mean, to the point of everybody that we've talked about, they did it. They started it. So many of us have had an idea that we sat on and saw someone else do it. I can tell multiple stories from my own personal experience.
Tell one.
What I thought. Okay, so Tile, right?
I thought you were just going to say Kyle, and I thought you just mispronounced it.
I happen to do that often.
My friend Tile.
My friend Tile. So Tile, they're little like 1x1 squares.
Yeah, like what goes on your bathroom floor.
No. Well, those types of tiles also go on your bathroom floor. How could I possibly have come up with an idea for Tile when it existed for hundreds?
Maybe you just made them smaller or bigger, like giant Tile.
Okay, so let's put it this way. Apple AirTags?
Yeah.
The precursor to Apple AirTags were Tile. And they're like 1x1 tiles.
AirTags freak me out, by the way. Again, I know nothing about them. I don't know if if like one's on you or not, but I'm always afraid, like, what if somebody like AirTags me and like tracks me?
So that is something that's going on right now. There's been a couple lawsuits for people that have been stalked because of that, and they're trying to figure out how to put safeguards in place.
Like, shouldn't your phone like tell you like, oh, there's an AirTag like that's been around you for more than this amount of time?
My guess is that's going to be the next update that comes out. Is a way to identify AirTags that are not within your network.
I'm afraid my parents will AirTag me because I always lie to them when I don't want to like hang out or go to dinner, which is, I know is awful, but like they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm busy. I'm out somewhere. They're like, oh, you should come to dinner. I'm like, oh, I can't. I'm busy. And then if they have an AirTag, they'll know I'm at home.
I mean, there's probably a safety element too if you were AirTagged.
That's true. I'm liable to get lost. I'm like there's a better chance of a dog finding its way home than me.
Well, there was a really positive story about Delta where somebody had the AirTag on their AirPods that they left on a plane, and they tried to track it down for like a week plus, and then their AirPods actually got stolen, but the AirTag was still there. And then Delta sent them a package with brand new AirPods and this whole thing. It was a great PR story, the whole deal. But
the one time an airline doesn't just cold cock a passenger for not getting out of their seat for no reason.
Let's
forget about all those times and send you a pair of AirPods.
They did a good job of it.
They didn't punch somebody in the face. Oh wait, that's United, right?
Yeah, that was United that happened to drag some individuals off the. But
I only fly United, by the way. Rep the set, never change. They could punch me in the face. I have too
many points.
Yeah, my Premier Platinum's not going anywhere. I'm going for that 1K. Like, knock me out, do whatever you want. I'm too deep in to switch to Delta at this point.
Well, all right. So I'm gonna go back to Tile real quick.
Just don't.
So basically, they were designed to put on your keys and to put in your wallet, so that way, if you lost them, you were able to identify them by using the Tile app. And I believe it used Bluetooth technology when you were in range, or you could set it up for Wi-Fi, depending on whatever. I have a very distinct memory of being in 8th grade. Pretty sure it was 8th grade or the summer going in. And I was with family and friends at our friend's lake house.
Ooh.
And pitching that idea to all the parents because someone had lost their keys. And I was like, wouldn't it be great if you could just put this little tag on your keys, and then whenever you lose it, your phone will just tell you where it is, or it would beep loud enough for you to find it.
Chris, there were so many people that had this idea and nobody did it.
Exactly. But that's my point. I had that experience. Someone who's listening probably had that exact experience.
My mom all the time. My mom doesn't even look for her phone anymore. She just like finds my iPhone. It'll be in her pocket. She'll just hit find my iPhone or watch. I'll be like, are you kidding me?
Exactly. But
like,
exactly.
You're gonna be in 15 years. You're gonna have no functionability as a human.
Well,
like you can't even go like slap your pocket to like check your phone.
I love a good pocket slap to make sure your phone's in there, right?
I can't.
Phone, wallet, keys.
I refuse to use Find My iPhone. I will look for my phone for hours and not use Find My iPhone because the principle of it is just, I feel like there's like, if you don't use it, you lose it.
This is a really small hill to take such a stand on, but you're right. If you don't use it, you lose it. So that's a valid point.
Like if I stop looking for my phone, what am I going to stop looking for next?
I don't know how slippery of a slope it is right now, but you're not wrong. It's not entirely wrong. So we've all had those ideas, and at that point, I didn't have a conception of entrepreneurship to the point of outside of like lemonade stands and that type of stuff. Hustle here, hustle there, sell newspapers, whatever.
You do them in a rich area, and you get the person that drives by, and they just throw you like $30 because you're like a cute kid. I was never a cute kid, but my brother and sister were cute, so they would give us money, and they'd feel bad for me. So.
I have a cool story about a kid, actually a couple kids in town who had set up lemonade stands
in this town.
Yes, which we're not going to disclose. I'm just cutting you off now.
Chris lives. His address is.
But the interesting thing about it was that there was a purpose outside of the entrepreneurial endeavor. They were actually trying to earn the money to do something that was going to benefit them for another interest that they had. So that was a selling point for me.
Did you donate anything extra?
Yes. Yes. And I made sure that every time they were set up, I passed by because I wanted to encourage them to continue, because being an entrepreneur can be very lonely. It can be very difficult. And even if you're a kid, it's tough when someone comes by and doesn't buy your lemonade, right?
Joke's on you.
So, but
those kids aren't going anywhere.
Flex the muscle a little bit. They had a chance to learn, practice, and it worked out successfully for this specific example. So pretty cool.
And they just started. They just did it.
They just did it.
Child mentality. Like, people will get all these like preconceived ideas throughout life in their head that I can't do this because of that. I can't do this because of that. I can't work in investment banking because I don't have an Ivy League degree. I can't work for McKinsey because I don't have a top MBA. I can't work for a top law firm because I don't have a JD. And a lot of people, or a JD from a T14 law school, and a lot of people just self-disqualify.
Sure.
And children don't do that because when you're young, your parents just say, can I do this? And they say, yeah, you can do anything.
That's right.
And you go, wow. And then as you live life, you have all these other people telling you, no, you can't do this. You can't do that.
That's right.
And I'm not going to say the bridge isn't more difficult to get into a big law firm if you don't have a T14 JD.
Without question.
But there's so many people that disqualify. Even at NYU Stern, where I'm doing my MBA, a lot of people, it's difficult. And it's a top 10 MBA program. And a lot of people, I'm not going to recruit for McKinsey or Bain or BCG because it's competitive. They don't like recruiting out of here. But again, you're self-disqualifying. They still take 20% of the people they interview from Stern. Yeah. Who's to say you're not going to be one of those 1/5 just self-disqualifying? And again, the more people we have that are interested in going to an MBB, the better the reputation will probably get. The more they'll say, wow, we really like these Stern graduates, the more of a network will build up within these organizations. And guess what? The self-disqualifying, the preconceived notions will go away over time.
Exactly. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. Right? That's it. That's what it comes down to. And we could talk about motivations, we could talk about all of the barriers to entry which do exist. There's no question. It is not an even playing field in any capacity of life, and it likely never will be. And it's not that it's okay, it's the fact that if you do work hard, if you do understand how to navigate the process, and you're willing to put the work in to get to where you want to go, even if you don't end up with the ideal, you're in a better position than you would be if you, one, don't think that you can get anywhere, and two, if you don't start doing it. You're never going to work at a top firm if you don't put in the work to at least get the degree that you need to get there, regardless of what school it comes from. You're never going to start the business if you don't. You're never going to have a successful business that you can take public, that you can sell, that you can whatever, if you don't get the business started. If you're just sitting in your house thinking about the idea, constantly obsessing over the details. I'm absolutely someone who's done that before, and I've identified that, and I've worked forward to it. I mean, starting a podcast is something I've talked about for years and years and years. And, we sat down, we had the equipment, and we said, let's just test it. And the moment we did it, we knew that it's something that we've started, and now we can move forward. And you'll see the quality will get better over time. The content will get better over time. The guests will get better over time. But none of that happens if we didn't sit down and hit record.
Probably.
There may be a universe that exists where it does, but in the one that we're living in, we needed to start doing it in order to get to the point where we are now and where we will be.
The getting better over time.
I mean,
we'll probably get better over time.
I would hope.
See, people degenerate with age, and we're getting older, so it might get worse at some point. Just we're realists, we're pragmatists. We don't want to mislead our audience. Again, we like to be very on brand.
Well, I'm hoping that any natural cognitive decline holds off for a little bit. I mean, I'm in my mid-30s.
He's in his mid-30s, guys. That's pretty old. If it was 1770, he'd be like dead in 3 years. He'd have grandkids. Some people have grandkids in their mid-30s. Not knocking that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. But, well, more people had grandkids in the 1700s at that age. But I think probably a fair way.
Chris is on the...
Yeah. I hope in no way am I on that downward trajectory yet.
So, you know what your age makes me think of? I tutor prisoners. I really enjoy it. I teach them a lot of subjects. I teach science. I teach principles of calculus, pre-calculus, college composition. I always love, though, interpreting the graphs in science. You get the graphs that, human population grows to this point and then it falls off or it stables out. Tell me why it does that. And it just makes me think of like Chris's life trajectory. Like Chris is at that point, and like tell me why Chris's life goes like this at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because he hit his mid-30s.
That's
you understand that? You pass the GED science section as a prisoner, you go be a welder. Great profession, by the way.
Great profession. Our country needs more skilled labor that can.
And hey, not to get on a rant about the prison system, but I think rehabilitation is the best way, and structure is the best way to keep these people out of prison long term. And I think if these programs were offered to all prisoners, we'd have a much lower recidivism rate. We'd have a much stronger economy. They'd have much stronger family lives. And a lot of people are in prison out of circumstance. I'm not saying they didn't do bad things. A lot of them deserve to be in jail or prison.
And by deserve, you mean there needed to be some consequence for their action to allow for the rehabilitation.
When you grow up and your mother's a criminal and your father's a criminal and you grew up with no structure in life, sometimes you just need structure, and you need to be told, like, hey, this is how you do it. And if you go to prison and don't have that structure, you're just going to end up back there. So if you go to prison, they make you wake up at 6, they make you go to school, they make you get a job, they make you go, do something else, have study time, and then they make you eat and go to bed, and you do that every day for the 5 years that you're in prison. Hopefully you can come back out a better person. Unfortunately, a lot of the prison system is not like that because it is expensive. But I think long term, it's much cheaper than recycling these people through the system. 5 years in, 1 year out, 5 years in, 1 year out. It
creates short and long term opportunities, and it also strengthens, like you said, communities opportunities, and it gives, a lot of the families that are affected by having someone who's unfortunately incarcerated, the opportunity to begin to thrive and repair, any damage that's been done from that perspective as well.
And again, on the Just Start topic, it applies to everything in life. If you've thought about doing something like that, going to tutor in a prison or joining the military or something, if not you, then who? Just start.
Yeah, just start.
You never want to be the person that says, "Oh, I thought about doing that. Oh, I was gonna do that. Oh, I inquired about doing this." Like nobody wants to hear that.
Yep.
Like I hate when people, "Oh yeah, I thought about doing this." Like just why didn't you do it?
Exactly. Or at the very least, take the step to understand what it is, right?
Yeah.
So we're not saying go sign up for something that you have no idea what you're talking about. We're saying understand what it is, and then when you're at the point where this is something I can do or I want to do,
Do it.
Do it. Start the process. Begin to get involved, and outside of the benefits that come along with just getting yourself in the process and starting and showing up, right? Showing up is 80% of it some of the time. It will improve your ability to look at future opportunities. It's also going to expand your network. And when you think about, becoming an old man like myself,
Very old.
you know,
I met him when he was in his 20s. He was my age when I met him.
it's true.
You might have been younger than me, actually.
Yeah, I was younger than you, but we've known each other for almost.
I mean, you've always been older than me, but you're younger than I am presently when I met you then.
Yes, correct. And I lost my train of thought, but
you could grow a beard. I still can't grow a beard.
I mean, a goal of mine was to grow a beard when I was younger, and I got to the point where I just started not shaving, right? And now here we are.
Yeah, but see, the thing is that
I'm just tying it in. Come on, give me a break.
If I just start growing a beard, people will cross the street if I'm walking on the same side as them, and I'm also not allowed within 50 feet of schools if I have facial hair.
Trying to think of not everyone can grow a beard.
You don't want to see it. And what
not
sucks
everyone
too?
can grow a beard, which is unfortunate. I
have really coarse, wiry facial hair, so I get ingrown hairs on my face really easy. So it's like I can't grow my facial hair, but then when I shave, I just get a whole bunch of ingrown hairs.
And it probably gets irritated too.
Yeah.
So if there's any companies out there who are watching this and have a product that helps, please reach out. We'll respond, and we would love to test it out. So maybe,
I'm sure there is stuff.
By this time, I'm sure there is too. But I'd rather work with a small business, right? Who's getting their thing going, or a large enterprise company who wants to give a little bit of insight into their processes and share their successes as to how they got there. But also, I'd love a year from now for you to have the opportunity for a beard. Who knows?
Vitamin E.
Yeah.
I don't know if it actually does anything.
Do you remember were you old enough? Oh, this is crazy. Were you old enough that when you were young, they had vitamin E in the capsules that you would like bite the capsule and then put the vitamin E on?
Well, I know they had vitamin E capsules. Like they still do.
Well, yeah, but like, was that ever like a thing that you
never heard of it?
Wow. I feel older by the second. I mean, I'm technically older by the second too, but
the one big thing that people pushed when I was younger that I now know is total BS, that your knees can't go over your toes when you're squatting.
Oh, shout out knees over toes guy.
I know. My mom used to tell me all the time when I was a kid. Now she still says it and she still pushes it, and it just frustrates me. I can't get it through her head.
But
I've given up.
Then you know what you do when she's saying that? Hide her phone in her pocket, and then she'll have to go find her iPhone, and then you get out of there before they put the AirTag in your pocket.
True.
Right?
It's not a bad. I'll just start doing that.
Just start doing that.
Yeah.
All right. That's a perfect way to get to where we are going to end it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening, watching. I guess if you follow us on Instagram, we post anything, liking, subscribing to do we have a YouTube channel yet?
So by the time you're watching this, yes.
Okay.
Yes, we do. And if we don't, where are they watching this?
Do we have any channels on any of the other hubs?
So you could find us at Business Chatter Podcast on Instagram, Business Chatter Pod on Instagram.
Chris, this is your own business you're plugging, right?
We'll follow up on our...
Do we have to cut this?
We'll follow up on where we're going to post, what hubs will be on in time. And,
how many hubs are there?
Depending on how you're defining hub.
Any hub.
I mean, they call like the main... where the airlines, where their main areas are hubs too, right?
Internet hubs.
I mean,
like the Face Hub that we were talking about.
Yes, Face Hub. It's so. Oh goodness. Well, yes,
we should make a Wikipedia faces called Facepedia. That's a good business. It's just like you click and it's just somebody's face. So you don't have to go through the whole bio. You just want to find what somebody looked like. Oh, what did Franklin Pierce look like? You find him on the face. Wait, that would be FaceHub. Facepedia. It's the Wikipedia of faces, right?
I mean, you could also you can Google it. That's the
problem.
No,
but it's all streamlined. It's just easier. It's all in one place. You don't have to keep Google searching. You're already on the page.
Do you remember do you ever play the random wiki game?
Yes.
That was fun back in the day. I used to do that back in the day. That was fun.
You start at one page and you got to get to the other page in a certain amount of time.
Yeah. Or you can only have X amount of steps to get to. Yeah.
It's easier than you think.
Yes, but that's like a good 6 degrees of separation type of fun. That's a good 6 degrees of separation.
You got to be selective what you click, but
totally. You have to think about it before. You have to plan your moves. You can't just randomly click. Maybe one, but after that,
you know how you do it is you sort the words that you think you're going to be looking for on the next page. So you have these words that if this word is on here, I'm going to click it.
Yep, that's a good approach.
Yeah.
And the way that you figure that out is just by starting. Find us on Instagram, Business Chatter Pod. You can email us, host@businesschatterpod.com.
These are supposed to be my lines, Chris.
I know. Go ahead. You say it. No, you say it.
I don't want to say it anymore.
Say it again.
No.
Just let them know.
No.
We'll respond. All right. I'm going to finish this. The Business Chatter Podcast. Actually, before we do that, thank you for your time. We know it's very valuable, and we appreciate that you're sharing it with us. The Business Chatter Podcast. Consider us your crash course on value creation through the words of individuals who have done it before. We'll see you next time.
We will respond.